Shankaracharya Madhyamam Asmadacharya Paryantam Vande Guru Paramparam. Om Bhadram Karnebhihi Shrunuyama Devaha Bhadram Pashyema Akshabhiryajatraha Sthirairangaistuštuvagum Sastanobhihi Vyashema Devahitanyadayuhu Swasti na Indro Vriddhashravah Swasti na Pusha Vishwavedah Swasti nastarksho Arishtanemihi Swasti no Brihaspatir Dadhatu. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Sahana Vavatu Sahanau Bhanaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma Vidvishabhai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. So today we will end the section of the three Karikas, the three Karika section on Shrishti Vichara. The Vichara on what is the nature of creation, what is the purpose of creation. All of that was done. So what is left to be done is to put together, so that you can say this is all these philosophies, theories about Shrishti can be seen as Purva Paksha. Purva Paksha means that they are earlier questions. This is like a question answer, So every answer is preceded by a question. So the Purva Paksha means the Paksha that comes before the answer. It's called Purva Paksha. So we saw all of that. Now what is left to be done is what is the answer? What is the Siddhanta? Siddha anta yasya iti siddhanta. One whose end is well established, which is answered. Nothing more remains to be done. All doubts are cleared. So that is what is called Purva Paksha Siddhanta. And this Siddhanta is given in the very last line of the Karika number 9. We've already read it, but let's read it again. Devasya esha swabhavoyam aptakamasya kaspriha. Devasya esha swabhavaha. Ayam swabhavaha devasya esha. So this all what we see, what we experience in our life, including the nature and purpose of Shrishti, is the swabhava of the Deva. And then it gives a logic. First it establishes what is the truth, then it establishes the logic, the reason. Aptakamasya kaspriha. Aptakamasya means one who is fully satisfied. Full is the nature of fullness, doesn't need anything. What kind of desire can that person have? This is the answer. So we will analyze it, especially the word swabhava. This is really a very important one, and important for as a key to understanding. The word swabhava is something that we have to really to look at it and to understand it. And we have already done some preliminary definition of Swarupa and Swabhava, which I'll do a little bit later on. Let me postpone it when I get into Swabhava. I'm not quite getting into Swabhava now. I have a couple of other things to do. But then when we get to Swabhava, I will tell you what I had long seen and understood. And to me, looking back, that was Paroksha Jnanam. That was Paroksha Jnanam, not Aparoksha Jnanam. So this explanation by Swami Akhandananji is, is the Aparoksha Jnanam of what Swabhava means. So we'll get to that in 1 minute. That's the main topic today. But before we do that, let's look at Apta Kamasya Kaspriha. So here it means that a person who is totally satisfied, he is absolutely nothing to prove to anyone, nothing to show off. There's no reason to have a desire. Because we see sometimes that people who are extremely well-to-do, so they have actually conquered the desire for money. That's already been done. Okay? They had a burning desire to accumulate a lot of assets, and they were very successful. And by that time, they were so busy in acquiring wealth and so on. They finally they've done it. But you know what happens now? Now, not always, but you see this often. They want to now show off their wealth. They want to tell everybody else, here's what I've got. This is a desire, a new desire. A new desire. And the new desire means that they are not fully satisfied with what they have. Because they have a desire to impress others. And this is what Swami Akhandananda takes up in the definition of Aptas Kamasya Kaspriha. So he gives this example that supposing there is a very successful king. That's the old example. The new example is someone who has made, we know of somebody, this is very interesting. One of our, I wouldn't say close friends, but a friend, and also one of my wife's clients. They are the biggest shareholder of NVIDIA. Next to the co-founder Huang himself, the outsider, he has the biggest shares. And I can only estimate that just from this one stock, he has made $10 billion. And this is a very interesting guy. He actually does not show off at all. So because he was quite successful even before, he had actually invested in Yahoo a number of years back. And he made a lot of money from that. And this one he didn't need, but he just felt this is a good company. Long time ago, he invested in it and he's done so well. So he has got what is called old money that doesn't really show off. But you can find it. We have a couple of other friends who have new money. We just had a get-together just last week at their place. And this lady, woman, who really was quite instrumental in doing real estate thing, she wants to still show off. Here are my jewelry, here's my rings, here's the kind of diamonds I'm doing, and so on. So that means that she's not yet completely satisfied. She's got the money. You would think that's it, all that you need to do. But no. From her talk, from her appearances, she is still a small person who wants to get even bigger. And he gets to get bigger by telling everybody, do you know how much money I have? Do you have any idea? I shouldn't really be saying this, but a number of years back, we had when we made friendship with these people. They already had a lot of money. I asked her to support Aim for Seva. So I thought this lady has a lot of money and so on and so forth. I can't even tell you how little money a check she gave me for Aim for Seva. But just because you have money doesn't mean that you are full. You don't have fullness. Anyways, the example given by Swami Akhandananda is like this king. Well, this is a slightly different example, but listen to this. He says there's a king who is a big Maharaja. He's got huge, like in the old days, Gwalior and all those kinds of people who have so much. They were equal to the kings, the Mughal kings in their power and so on. Now, he likes to go, and this used to happen all the time, he likes to go on a show-off tour, sitting on top of a elephant, and there are people who are fanning him on the back, and he's looking around and saying, "Thank you, thank you, thank you." The regal presence. But he wants to do this a couple of times a year. The question is, why? So Swami Akhandananda says it's very simple. This is a very, very fundamental thing in the vichara of Vedanta. The desire to impress someone comes from a conclusion of duality. There is someone other than me that I need to impress. Okay, this is an important thing to see. Suppose you don't have anybody else. Will there be a desire to impress someone? You already are the nature of fullness, and there is nothing else other than you. So in the case of the king, there is somebody other than the king. So then it's a matter of whether you are so rich, old richness or the new richness can dictate what you do with the otherness. But if there is no otherness at all, is it possible for someone to try to impress? Like in the case of, this is not a perfect example, but look at a deep sleep. In deep sleep, there is nobody other than you. And there is no desire. And deep sleep is apta kama. So a little sample is given to you. For apta kama means you are fully satisfied. You don't even want to get up from the deep sleep. But your karmas wake you up, and so now the otherness comes in. And you start trying to impress them. Okay? So in the case of a person who is, see, this is the important thing to see. What Vedanta teaches, the real uniqueness of Vedanta. If you look at it this way, there is something, this is what is called apurvata. I think we have gone over that word before. Apurvata. Apurvata means that there was nothing like that before until you see the teaching of Vedanta. The teaching of Vedanta is something totally unique. And it's not as though we're very proud of being unique. No, that's not what I'm saying, or that's not what Vedanta says. But it's a fact. We don't know what else to do. I think we have talked about this before. Swami Dayanand used to say this. He says, suppose we find that there is some undiscovered civilization deep in the jungles of South America. No one has had any contact with them. They speak their own language, etc. But the more if you discover them and you decipher what they do, and they say, there is Atma, there is Anatma, there is Viveka, there is Vairagya, there is Brahman, there is Jivatma, there is Paramatma, here's the thing, here's how you do it, and so on. I tell you, we will hug them. We'll be so happy. You think that we will say, oops, we were so unique and somebody else also did it. We know. No. We'll be very happy. Wow, we'll discuss them. What words do you use for this? What words are we using for it? It'll be such a beautiful conversation. We cannot have that conversation. We cannot have it. Nobody else seems to have that language. So it's kind of unique. But here's the thing to remember. I was just expounding on the word unique. Here's the thing to remember. Here's the thing to understand, really, not to remember or anything, to understand. What is the uniqueness of Vedanta? This is a very important thing for us to see. This is what is called Tatparya Nishchaya. What is the ascertainment of the essence of Vedanta? What is it saying? Yeah, it's saying a number of things. The fact that the whole thing is a mistake. It's something with just an appearance. There's no who says that. But I would say something even more fundamental, something more enormously important. This we should at least keep an eye out for and to try to understand. You know what it says? You, my dear student, yes, you are the whole universe. You. What? I am the whole universe? What are you saying? I don't even understand what you're saying. Can you restate it? No, I can't. You are the whole universe. So what that means is Anantata, Advayata. There is nothing other than you. And you are not, there's no end to you. There's no beginning, no end to you. You are the only truth, including what you see. That is also you. This is the uniqueness of Vedanta. Please, if you have a paper and pencil, just write it down. I know you're all quizzically thinking, what? Is the truth for you to understand. Basically what it means is, Atma is equal to Paramatma. In fact, there is no such thing as Jivatma. It's only Paramatma. This is what we have to see. And so this is a complete completeness, lacking nothing. This is what we have to see as the true uniqueness of Vedanta. Because there's a lot of other schools of thought who are saying, yes, there is a Sakshi, and there is somebody. This is easy to prove. Even I would say, if I had this conversation with my 3-year-old granddaughter, and I tried to say, Sanya, you are the seer, and what you see is the seen. Do you see that? And she'll say, yeah. You see that? You are the Sakshi, and the whole world is nothing but what you see. So forget about a 3-year-old, but there are sophisticated schools of thought, thousands of years. And they all make some small differences, and we saw them in the Srishti Chintika. But they all say the same thing. There is a seer and there is a seen. So from that standpoint, they're saying, oh, we're saying the same thing. There's what's unique about you. There is something. This is just a small step. That I'm a Sakshi, I'm a Sakshi, I'm a Sakshi, and so on and so forth. Now we've talked about this for a while. It doesn't do anything. What is it? It's this story comes up to. Yeah, it's interesting. Swami Dayanand used to say, you talk about Vairagyam. Vairagyam means that you are no longer engaged in the world. You just say, let it go. I don't care. This is Vairagyam, isn't it? This Vairagyam comes up in people's life when somebody close, like a friend, hopefully not your own family member, but some friend or some colleague or something passes away. And you go to their funeral, especially the Hindu, burning of the body. It's gruesome. It just moves you. You see this full body clothed and looking nice and so on. Pretty soon the fire engulfs them, and in few minutes all that is left is some ashes and bones. How can it not affect you? If you do the burial system, at least you bury them. And we did that about 3-4 years ago. We have a friend in Oakland, very close friend of ours for a number of years. She passed away, and so she was buried. And it was very cold weather. We were all shivering, and how her body was put down, and then it was all covered. So we saw the details of it. It doesn't move you nearly as much as a cremation. So Swami Dayanand used to say, if you look at Vairagya, when people go to a cremation of a close friend, and you look at their thoughts, they are overcome with Vairagya. Overcome with Vairagya. I remember this very story from Swami Dayanandji's teaching. I remember this so well. It's funny how these things stick in your mind. I can't remember what I ate this morning. Honestly, I'll have to think about it. But 40 years ago, some things from Swami Dayanandji, even Swami Chinmanandji, which was even older in my time frame, I remember very vividly. Swami Dayanandji used to say, so you look at the thoughts of this person who's coming back from a cremation, and his thoughts are full of Vairagya. What is this world about? Yesterday he was in the office and he's gone. What is the purpose of this? I get upset about small things. I shouldn't do that. These are huge things. One can just all those kinds of thoughts and so on. And then Swamiji says, this is the real thing. He comes home, walking back, and as he nears his house, he sees that there's some packages that were left outside the home. These days with Amazon packages, you can imagine, but I'm talking about Swamiji's, old times. Anyway, he saw something valuable. His Vairagya is gone. So he calls his domestics help and says, "Hey, didn't you take it home, inside?" He said, "Sir, I didn't see it." You never see anything. I'm paying you a lot of money to keep track of the home. I just went for a funeral, and this anybody could have taken. His wife says, "It's okay, it's okay, it's okay." The Swamiji says, this is called Shmashman Vairagya. Shmashan, what is there's a Sanskrit word for it. In Hindi it's called Shamshan, but in Sanskrit there's some other word. So anyway, he says, this is not real. This is just it overcomes you. That's all it is. So similarly here also, you may find that I'm completely fulfilled now, but that doesn't really last. Doesn't last. It is not real. It'll be like Smashan Vairagya. It will go away with a small whiff. So what we say is in Vedanta, the uniqueness of Vedanta is in establishing Advayata, Anantata, Anandata, Satyam Jnanam Anantam. It's the Advayata which is the fundamental part. Everybody can say it, it's Sakshi and so on and so forth, but that's not it. This is the step that we have to understand. And this Swabhava is a very good step for us to understand. It requires a lot of vichara. So now that we are talking about vichara, let's see if I wanted to do something else before I go to Swabhava. Yeah, I think let's hold off. What is it? 8:28. Yeah, I think that's the main topic. We haven't even come to it. I hope that I'll have enough time. But let me do a couple of other things before that. So, what we have done so far is Atmakamasya Kaspriha. You know what it means? That's the whole thing about the uniqueness of Vedanta. Here's what it means. The example of the king by Swami Akhandananda. What it means is, what kind of a desire can you have when there is nothing other than you? This is the real meaning of Aptakamasya Kaspriha. The simple meaning is that if you are satisfied, you cannot have a desire. Like, supposing you are hungry and then you have a meal, and then if you have a loving spouse, she says, no, you can't just stop at 1 or 2 rotis, have some more. And say, no, I think, no, you can have some more. It just happened. Just 2 3 days ago, this happened. This lady had her mother visiting, and she was making dosas for everybody. And so her daughter had a couple of dosas. And so the mother came back with another dosa, and she says, "You can have another one, can't you?" She said, "No, Mom, I think I'm full." She says, No, you can have another one. I just made it fresh." He says, "Okay." I was watching her. He says, "Oh, that's good." He got persuaded. Suppose, and maybe, no, I don't know how many she finally had, 3 or 4. Finally, if the 5th dosa comes, what's going to happen? She says, "No, I cannot do this." Oh my gosh. Some old incidents come. In 1981, when we were at PRC, Swami Dayanandji went to India for 1 month, and there was no teaching for 1 month. There were some other teachers who were teaching Sanskritam and so on. So I talked to Swamiji and I said, "Swamiji, if you're going to go to India, my family has not been to South India. Can I also take them?" He says, "That's a great idea." He says, "In fact, I'll help you." So he had a host family in Chennai. So he says, "I'll write to them. You just go there and they will arrange for all the tours to the temples, and they'll give you a car, and you can even stay at their home if you like." So we ended up staying in a hotel. But I tell you, the first day we had breakfast at her place. She had a mother called Kamalamma. And so we were at there. They were sugar mill owners, so they were very rich, beautiful, palatial home. Oh my God, what a breakfast we had. So what happened was that, no one told us how many items we were going to be. This is breakfast, 8:30, 9 o'clock. So the first course comes up with idli. And so I was so hungry and so on, so they gave me 2 idlis. Then there were like vadas. Then there was dosas. This is all for breakfast. I remember we were holding no more, and they were saying over and over here, this one. No. We were bursting. Aptakamasya kaspya. If you're satisfied, you cannot have any desire. This is why this is called Annadanam. Is so important, as we have talked about it. But here this is something unique. Because even for a person who is hungry, hunger is different from you. Hunger has superimposed on you. So there is some otherness. Who's going to serve me? What food am I going to have? Otherness. But if there is no otherness, you cannot impress anybody. So that's the Aptakamasya Kaspriya. Okay, then the next thing quickly, I think I'm running out of time, I want to go to Swabhava, is the word Deva. Devasya Esha Swabhavoyam. What is a Deva? So here, Deva means Dyotanatmikaha, means the one whose nature is light, effulgence. And so here you have different kind of devas. And so, for example, there is the Adi Daivikaha. And so these are natural phenomena of heat, light. So they are all considered to be devas. Then you have Adhyatmika devas, and these are our sense organs of action, because they reflect my light, they They are part of the Sukshma Sharira. And so they are called Adhyatmika Devas. Then you have Adi Bhautika Devas. So Bhutebhyaha. And so they are all sun, the Prithvi, the Vayu, everything that I'm surrounded with and supported by them. The sun is a Deva. So these are all Devas. But then all these Devas are limited. The ultimate Deva is Atmadeva. Atmadeva is something unique. Because in all other Devas, they are themselves limited. They come and go. Their powers are also limited. The sun also is one day going to disappear, slowly dissipating. Even Vayu and all that, they are limited. They are not always present. There is one Deva. So in all the other Devas, they have borrowed Devatvam. It's not their own. Even the sun is also borrowed. You can compare to the moon, it is less borrowed, but the Deva, that also is because they are also dependent on the fission of hydrogen and all these natural things. They're also dependent on it. It is a result, it's a karya of all the karanas. But there is one Deva that has no karana, no cause, no changes. And it is the ultimate effulgence, the ultimate consciousness. That's you. That's the Deva. And we are unaware of it. We don't think about it. That's all that really happens. We just ignore it. Because, and we will see this very quickly in the Swabhava, all we are seeing it's the reflected glory of the Atma, not the real glory of the Atma. Anyway, so now I think we have covered all the words before. Devasya, Esha, Aptakamasya. What is left is Swabhava. So let's get into that. This is something just mind-blowing, really. Once I started to study this under the guidance of Swami Akhandanandaji, and to understand, to me, it was made a big difference in my understanding about myself. So I'll give you as much as I can in a small time. And this is something very so major that we will have to come back to it again and again. So just give you an introduction to it. So before that, my previous understanding, which I have communicated to you in my own limited nature in the sense that it was still paroksha jnanam, not aparoksha jnanam, was this. You know that we have talked about the difference between Swarupa and Swabhava. Right? So the example given is, which I have often cited, that this is just a Laukika example, not a Vedika example, Laukika example. You look at water. So water can be seen to have both Swarupa and Swabhava. And this is the typical example that I would give in my previous teaching. And my previous understanding, because I'm teaching you what I understand, really. So, My understanding was that the water, the H2O nature of water is the Swarupa. Then what is the Swabhava? The Swabhava is its waviness, its fluidity, its coolness. Why is that a Swabhava? Because all these things like waviness, fluidity, coolness are of course found in the water, but they are not permanent. What is permanent? Permanent in the sense, what is unchanging, what is the very nature of it is the H2O, two atoms of hydrogen and one atom of oxygen mixed together. That's what water is. That is the Swarupa. Swabhava is its incidental nature. So this was my simple example, and it is a correct example. There's nothing wrong with it. But it is not a aparoksha jnana example. So what is aparoksha jnanam? Okay, now we are going to get to the real stuff, and it has to be rather quick, but I'll try to do as much as I can. Okay. So here the example which is very important for us to see is the following. Let's look at the example first before we look at the exemplified. The example is that, and I've already talked about this before, so I'm bringing it in this particular context. The example is that of the blueness of the space. Blueness of the space. So as a child growing up, it sees the same thing as an adult, which is the appearance of space as a blue color in it. It sees the same thing. You ask the child, what color is this? And once they can identify the color, they can say this is blue, which is correct. And they'll say, yeah, I also see blue, you also see blue. But what happens is, the blueness is not the reality of space. It's an appearance, but not without a reality. Whereas the nature of space, which is so subtle and so pervasive, that without any form, it contains a lot of things. Subtle things. What subtle things? It contains sound waves. It contains electromagnetic waves. It contains magnetic waves. It contains gravitational forces, strong forces. They're all contained in the Akasha. So you can say that in that sense, like in the case of the water, the Swarupa of space is that it is the Adhisthana for very subtle things. In fact, Adhisthana for everything. Water is also in the space. Fire is also in the space. Prithvi is also in the space. Vayu is also in the space. So it is the Adhisthana, it is the basis for everything without having any form. And what is the Swabhava of the space? Blueness. Why is that? This is an important thing to see. This is really key. This is fundamental to seeing. This is just an example, but to see the exemplified, this is an important thing to see. What happens is that the nature of the eye is to try to see what's in front of it and to objectify it. This is what I'm seeing. If there are limited objects that the eye sees, eye means the eye, the seeingness of the, not the physical golaka, but the seeingness of the eye, which is backed up with the mind, the seeingness. So the nature of the seeingness of the eye is that it wants to objectify. It looks for objectification. And it is able to objectify limited things clearly. Like right now, I'm looking at the camera, all of it. I'm looking at the sofa and the TV, which you cannot see. Completely wasted. I have a big TV and I watch it for maybe 12 times, maybe 20 times a year when there's a sporting event. While I'm looking at the TV, I'm looking at the wall, my eyes are looking at it. But here's the thing, this is very interesting to see. Swami Khandananda says, if it tries to see something infinite, it cannot. It tries, but it cannot. Because the eyes themselves are limited. You cannot have a limited object seeing unlimited, a limited seer seeing unlimited objects. Cannot do that. Not meant for it. So you know what it does? This is Ishvara's grace, if you want to. It cannot see the endlessness of the Akasha, neither can it see the endlessness of the sea, the Samudra. You know, there are really two things that we see in our life that are endless. And one is truly endless, and the other one is so big that it appears to be endless, which is the sea. And in both cases, the eyes sees it, attempts to see it, but cannot, so it substitutes a blue color for it. It doesn't see the reality of the endlessness, but it sees the appearance of endlessness in Ishvara's design of the whole cosmos that's given in blue color. So the energy also used to say, we don't know why. It could have been green, could have been yellow. It's blue. Blueness substitutes for the swabhava of Akash. And the difference between Swarupa and Swabhava in this context, we have talked about the water and the waviness and so on, but in this context, the difference between Swarupa of Akasha and the Swabhava of Akasha is the Swabhava of Akasha, which is blue appearance, by an adult is what is called Badhita Satyam. Badhita Satyam. Remember, we went over this word several classes ago. What is meant by Badhita? So, Badhita means it has been rendered as an appearance without any substance. And that comes from an understanding. The child cannot have that understanding, but an adult can. So, the Swabhava is Badhita Satyam and Swarupa is Abadhita Satyam. Means it cannot be negated. Badhita means can be negated. It may not be negated by a child, but for an adult it can be negated. What do you mean by negated? The substantiality of the blue color. You cannot use the blue color for washing your clothes blue. There's no substance behind it. It's just an appearance. So the Swarupa is Abadhita Satyam, whereas Swabhava is Badhita Satyam. Got it? Up to now you're... So one other thing, interestingly enough, is that from, we have talked about the duality, the dual step of Avarana and Vikshepa, right? Avarana and Vikshepa. Avarana means hiding, means that you do not see the true reality of the rope, but if it was complete darkness, there will be only Avarana. But if it is partial light, then the Avarana gives rise to Vikshepa. Right? We know this example. So very similar to that is happening here. For a child, you cannot see the Abadhita Satyam of Akasha. So this is what is called Agrahanam. Very similar to Avaranam. Avaranam means to hide. Agrahanam is the Jiva Drishti is Agrahanam. Avaranam is the outside darkness, but Agrahanam refers to the Jiva, the seer. So the seer is not able to grasp the reality, so it comes up with Anyatha Grahanam. So that's another way to look at it. Anyatha Grahanam means Vikshepa. It creates a blue color. And that is a very beautiful thing. You cannot mistake by any other color. It's only the blue color. So this is one thing. Okay, so now up to now we have talked about the example. The example, hopefully you understand, between Swarupa and Swabhava. The Swabhava is Badita Satyam, whereas Swarupa is Abadita Satyam. And the same logic can also be applied to our simple-minded example of the water and the waviness and fluidity and coolness. That also. So coolness is Badita Satyam, and so on. Anyway, that's part of it. Now let's come to our own self. So carry that example very clearly in your mind. And it's interesting, in the narrative of the Purva Paksha and Siddhanta. So we were talking about the defects in the various schools of thought. Remember, we talked about the Buddhists and the Sankhyas, how they look at Srishti, and then we say, no, there's a problem in the way you are describing it. They say, what is the problem? So we describe it. So we keep on describing their problem. It's not as though we want to prove ourselves superior or anything, but we just say, no, cannot be the truth, cannot be the truth, this cannot be the truth. We say that. So they say, okay, all right, we understand some defects that we have. Everybody has defect. The question is, what are you saying? And let's see if we can point a defect in you. So what are you saying? What is this whole prapancha, this whole set of experiences of our life? What is that all about? What's the reality of it? What are you saying about it? So we say, are you ready to listen? Okay, here is what we are saying. This is the Swabhava of Deva. Devasya esha Swabhavoyam. What is the Swabhava? As pertain to us, this is worth contemplating and thinking, and you may not accept it right away. This is something, but this is what the Shastra points out, so we should. So what Shastra says is, listen. Your Swarupa is to see things. That is your Swarupa. Chit Swarupam. Jnana Swarupa. You can see this. I know. I'm aware. This is you. This is your nature. Jnanam is your nature. So you want to see and to know. This is your nature. It is not imported. It is not a quality. This is your Swarupa. Just like the H2O is the Swarupa of water, your Swarupa is Jnanam, Jnanamatram. I know. And I am. Both are the one and the same. This is your nature. This is your Swarupa. Right? Okay. And this Swarupa of yourself is Ananta, infinite. There's no end to it. It's the very nature of infinity. Okay? Got it so far? All right. You want to see infinity, but you cannot. Just like you wanted to see the infinity of space, but you cannot. It just goes on and on and on. It is so far away that you cannot, you want to see the whole thing. You cannot see the whole thing. You know why? Because it's infinite. You're only capable of seeing finite things. Similarly, that of the water, the ocean. And there is a third thing. We said there was only two things. There is a third thing, which is yourself. And that yourself is also infinite. And you cannot see it. You cannot see it the way you want to see it. Because you want to see something, you are only used to seeing objects. So you know what happens now? You're not able to see the infinity. So just like you substitute the infinity of seeing, the seeing of the infinity of Akasha by substituting a blue color on it, similarly, you are seeing your infinity by making a mistake about the world as being different from you. This is your svabhava. You see this? This is what we are going to work on. So, the substitute of blue color, which has nothing to do with the Akasha, with space. What does blueness has to do with space? That is just like a suggested color by Ishvara, that's all. That's also natural. It's not as though some people are born with looking at the space as yellow. That's the very nature of making the mistake. It's a common mistake. And such a mistake that it continues to be an appearance, but badita satyam. Similarly, I am attempting to see myself at fault because I am infinity and I don't know it. Therefore, I make a mistake of seeing what I'm seeing to be other than me. So seeing the world as other than me is equal to seeing the blueness of the sky. And how is it similar? Because it is badita satyam. So until we understand this, we are like a child that thinks that the blueness is real. And once you understand that the infinity cannot be limited, I cannot just be a limited drashta. I am beyond the triputi of drashta, drishyam, and drik and everything. They all come and go right in front of me and they disappear. I remain the same. And so my nature being that of infinity, when that is not yet understood, I look upon the world as being different from me. But it is not. It is in fact one and the same. You are the complete cosmos. This is what the uniqueness of Vedanta is. This is what it proposes. This is what it explains. This is the result of it. So therefore, we go back to the statement that the Shruti gives, which is Devasya esha swabhavoyam aptakamasya kaspriha. Meaning, my dear student, it is your swabhava. All the Shrishti, because they are, the Purva Paksha is saying, what do you say? What's your view? We say this is the way things are. Because I am not yet seeing I don't understand yet about this is a Badita Satyam. It has just an appearance that bothers me until it's kind of like a snake with fangs. You defang the snake, you can just pet it, no problems. And once this is what will happen once we really begin to understand, I assure you that the world stops having any sense of botheration and reality. It's something which is there, but if you see yourself as a complete person, which doesn't lack anything, then this sense of appearance of the world as being different from you is just an appearance. Just like it is in the Swapnavastha, in the dream state also. There's no reality to it. So this is the meaning of Swabhava. And it's an important milestone in the understanding of the Advaita of the Atma, Advaita of everybody. Advaita, there's only one Advaita. And from time to time we will take that up on it. But in terms of the important tenets of Vedanta, this is one of them. So, Swabhava Devasya Esha Swabhavoyam Aptakamasya Kaspriya. So with that, I close the class today. And so with that, and by the way, this understanding will not be complete until the Mahavakya of Ayam Atma Brahma, which will come on the seventh mantra of Mandukya, very much like Tattvamasi. So that is necessary for me to remove all the doubts that the world is nothing but me alone. Until then, all you can do is to poke into it and to get ready for the understanding. But if you do not completely get it, it is very understandable, because this is what is called Padartha versus Vakyartha. So in the equation Tattvamasi or Ayamatma Brahma, both the padas, Tvam and Tat, and also Ayam versus Brahma, Atma versus Paramatma, individually the padas have to be understood. This is finally, then the Vakyartha can happen. So we'll work on it, but this is just the basis of it. So with this, we are ready to go to the Chaturtha Pada. Chaturtha Pada means the fourth step. And there will be a long discussion of that, which will be started on in Mandukya Karika's book by Swami Akhandananda on page 362. And will go on for a number of pages, probably quite a few classes, before we come to the seventh mantra, Anta Pragya Bahish Pragya. So that is the roadmap as we go forward. Okay. All right. Om Asatoma Satkamaya Tamasoma Jyotirkamaya Mrityurma Amritam Gamaya. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. All right. I don't understand anything about this person saying, so I'm just going to ignore it. I don't know who you are and what you are saying. It doesn't make any sense to me. Anyway, I hope you find your own way. I don't understand anything about this. Oh, let me search these saying. So. All right, very good to see you all. Wonderful. And I'll see you next time.